Look around you the next time you're on the subway or sitting in a coffee shop, and I guarantee you will see that diagonal dual camera setup staring back at you from half the hands in the room. It is 2026, and the iPhone 13 is not just surviving, it is absolutely thriving, which makes you wonder why people are refusing to upgrade. We're talking about a device that came out half a decade ago, yet it is currently the absolute king of the used market. The reason is actually simpler than you might think. When Apple released this phone with the A15 Bionic chip, they accidentally future-proofed it way more than they intended. Even today, if you put this phone side by side with a budget Android phone released this year, the iPhone 13 often opens apps faster and handles heavy games with more stability. I've been reading through forums on Reddit and checking long-term reviews from guys like Marques Brownlee, and the consensus is clear. The performance gap between the 13 and the 16 exists on paper, but in the real world, where you're just scrolling through TikTok or checking your email, that gap is almost invisible. It's the Honda Civic of smartphones. It's not flashy anymore, and it might not have the dynamic island that everyone made a big fuss about, but it just works. The build quality is another major factor here, because this was the era where Apple really nailed the ceramic shield and the aluminum frame. I've seen durability tests from Jerry Rig Everything where this phone took a beating that would snap a modern foldable in half. People realize that upgrading today often means spending a huge amount of money for features they might not even use, like ray tracing or satellite messaging. If you look at the software side of things, iOS 19 runs surprisingly well on this hardware. Sure, you might miss out on a few exclusive AI features that require the newest neural engine, but the core experience is identical. The biggest complaint I see on forums is usually about battery health degradation, which is normal for a 5-year-old device, but swapping a battery is a whole lot cheaper than buying a new phone. This phone sits in that sweet spot where it's cheap enough to be a kid's first phone, but premium enough to not feel like a compromise for an adult. It's the last great iPhone for people who just want a phone that fits in their pocket and does its job without complaining.